All right, so now that we have a basic idea of how Java works, we will just jump ahead and get a little bit more practice moving around in the programming language.
Right.
And again, we can't stress enough how important it is for you to watch the C++ tutorials and watch the JavaScript crash course tutorials because the JavaScript crash course is going to give you a basic idea for the syntax that Java uses.
And in this tutorial, we're not going to go through explaining what while loops are and what for loops are. We're just going to assume that you already know that. And those are all explained well in the C++ and the JavaScript tutorials.
Yes. So what is the idea here, Brian? How are we going to get acquainted with Java?
Oh, well, in this particular example, we're just going to write a simple program that's going to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Actually, we're going to print a Fahrenheit to Celsius table.
Okay. So we'll start a new project.
Right.
And same general Java application. Next.
Let's call this F2C.
F2C. Finish.
So now in our main function,
all this stuff looks familiar to you guys. So check this out. You can tell people you use Java.
Yeah.
That's a good asset. All right, let's move on here. All right, so we got the public static void main.
Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to define some integers.
Let's do that.
Okay, so let's define the Fahrenheit and the Celsius variables. Let's call it FAR, comma, space CEL, semicolon. Okay, so now we got a Fahrenheit and a Celsius. Now we want to have the lower limit, the upper limit, and the steps for our table. So let's do another integer definition for lower, upper, and step.
Step.
Semicolon. All right. So now that we have those, we're going to set what these are going to be equal to. So the lower is going to be the lower limit of the temperature table. So this is going to be lower is equal to 0. Now we want to set the upper to, let's say, 200. That's the upper limit. And let's do a step size of 15. So to start out, since we're going to be running through from lower to upper, let's set the Fahrenheit to equal the lower limit. So FAR equals lower.
Like this?
So, yep. So now Fahrenheit is equal to 0. Okay, so now let's do this in a while loop. So let's say while Fahrenheit, in parentheses, Fahrenheit FAR is less than or equal to upper. And let's chunk it off with some brackets. And then if we hit enter, it's going to fill out the other bracket. So while this is happening, the Celsius is going to be equal to 5 times, and then in parentheses, Fahrenheit minus 32 degrees, which is a pretty standard formula. That's actually divided by 9. Sorry about that. Okay, so now on the next line, let's do a print function, a system out print.
I'm sorry, capital S.
Yep. Dot out dot print, and then in parentheses, FAR. We'll print the Fahrenheit and end it with a semicolon. Okay, now on the next line, let's just print out a space. So system out print and then like quote space quote.
Okay.
All right, and semicolon. And on the next line, let's do a system out print line Celsius. So it's going to say the Fahrenheit space the Celsius next line. Okay, so now after this, we want to kind of like increment the step for the next line. So it's going to be the Fahrenheit is equal to the Fahrenheit plus the step. Okay, so that's basic. That's the basic idea of our conversion table.
So let's take a look.
Yeah, so let's save it and
Control
hit F6.
S.
Yep, and F6 to compile and run.
Oh, whoa! Hold on a second. Let me get this up here. Those of you that are running this on a regular machine will not have this aspect ratio.
Right, you'll be able to see all this just fine.
Yeah,
without having to switch things around.
If you're at 1024, you should be fine.
So 0 degrees Fahrenheit is actually negative 17 degrees Celsius, eh?
Hey.
So right now it's about 75 degrees Fahrenheit where we are, so it's about 23 degrees Celsius right now.
Yeah, so this is a nice little simple Java application that kind of gets your feet wet in how things operate. So, the code right here, simple, inside the main function. Pause the screen if you have to. Put this program together, and then come back in the next video, and we're going to take this a little bit further.